What's up guys, Lou here for Golf Avenue, and we're back with another comparison test. Today we'll be looking at Cobra drivers. We'll be running back a test that we did a few years ago. It's actually our most watched YouTube video, but this time we'll be updating the lineup. So let's not waste any more time and let's jump right into testing with our first model, our most recent one, the Cobra DS Adapt. Alright, I just got done testing the DS Adapt driver. We have it in the LS variation. This model is the latest from Cobra. It was released in 2025. The main selling point for this one is its adjustable hosel. The Future Fit 33 is the new technology from Cobra, allowing you 33 different variations of loft and lie angle, allowing you to customize the club specifically to your needs. And the reason why I mentioned the Future Fit 33 is because I used it myself. I did one session with the DS Adapt early on. It had a massive draw bias and it was not the performance I was expecting out of it. So I scanned the QR code that you can find near the heel of the club to see how to adjust it properly, and I just adjusted it with the most basic, straightforward, standard loft and lie, and it was a massive difference for me. The club transformed to something that was able to control, have a nice feel for the ball, and the forgiveness was really impressive too. So overall, the DS Adapt LS is a very good starting point. I'm really excited to see how the older models will match up against this latest technology from Cobra. Alright, so I just finished with our second club. It's the Cobra LTDx LS. This one's from 2022. I have to say that it took me a long time to get used to this club or find my comfort with it. And if I'm being honest, I don't think I ever found it really. I struggled to have a good feel for the ball with that one. I struggled to control the ball with that one. I can't really put my finger on it. It might be a shaft. It might also be the fact that Cobra, and that's just a personal thing, maybe let us know in the comments if you think the same, but that's my personal opinion. Cobra club heads are very large. Even LS models have larger club heads, and that's not my personal preference behind a golf ball. I like something smaller that I can feel like I'm controlling the ball with, not something too large that feels like a shovel. That was one of the main drawbacks with me with that one. Felt like it had a very strong draw bias for a club like this, which again, pretty surprising, but yeah, overall, definitely not my favorite. In terms of distance, nothing too worrisome. It's decent. At least it felt decent, and we'll look at the numbers in the dispersion. But yeah, not for me. Probably not for me. Yeah, that's all I have to say with that one. Just didn't feel right. Just couldn't get it right for me. But who knows? Maybe it'll be good for someone else. I'll say it's an LS. The spin rates were very decent. We're in the range that I was looking for, under 2K. Just above 19, I believe. So again, we'll have a look at the full data, but so far, this one, not my favorite at all. Moving on to club number 3, we have the Cobra King F9 from 2019, and I have to say that this one was a real mixed bag for me. Right away, right from the first strike, I can tell that this one's a bomber. It explodes off the club face. When you find the center of the club face, the ball just flies and flies and flies. And I can see why some of Cobra's staff players on tour held on to this one for just a bit longer, just because it's so good when you make good contact. But I did mention that it was a mixed bag, and there's a reason for that. When you miss the center of the club face, it's very, very, very penalizing. There's sort of this perimeter across around the club face. The F9 has like sort of a face insert inside of the club face, and then there's the rest of the club head around it. Whenever you make contact with that perimeter around it, or that ring, if you will, around the club face, you know it right away. The feeling is not as nice. It's a real hard feeling in the hands. You lose a lot of distance, you lose a lot of accuracy. So overall for the F9, if you're a skilled player and you're consistent with your swing and you're able to put a lot of speed behind the golf ball, take a look at this one. Honestly, it's a bomber. The ball flies off the club face, but you have to be very consistent so as not to hit too close to the perimeter. Otherwise, you'll have heavy losses on your strike. Moving on to club number 4, and that was probably the club I was most excited to try out. We have the Cobra King LTD from 2016, not the LTDx, the original LTD. And I can see why it holds a special place in many players' heart. This club, not like the F9, but it's really, really good at impact. The ball flies, it explodes. This model really has stood the test of time when it comes to at least distance and consistency. Where it doesn't necessarily match the new models, it's in terms of forgiveness on off-center strikes. Of course, it has the same type of issue as the F9, where it has like a ring around the club face. Whenever you make contact with it, you will lose out a lot of distance. But I do have to say that the ring on this one is much thinner and the surface of the club face is much wider. So at least the odds of making contact with the outer rim are very slim. And even if you were to make contact with the edges of the club face itself, the penalty is not too bad. I did hit a couple of those and it really wasn't as bad as it was with the F9. So overall, a very impressive driver that definitely has stood the test of time, but it obviously falls a little shorter when it comes to forgiveness because technology has taken such a leap since. Last but not least, we have our oldest model of the test. It's the Cobra BioCell. Of course, we have the orange Ricky edition. We couldn't go with any other one than this one. In terms of performance, at least my first impression, it's still good. Like, it hangs with the other ones, maybe not as long from what I could see from the first data points, but overall, like, it's a really respectable driver. Few downsides, off-center strikes will be costly just because it's not as recent as a model, so it doesn't have all that good technology when it comes to off-center strikes and expanding the sweet spot of the club face. But when you do make contact with the sweet spot, you're able to not only hit the ball far, but you're still able to work it, considering that it's not really a club that was specifically made for working the ball. If you wanted to work the ball with a BioCell, you'd be looking at a Pro or even a Plus model. All that to say, if you're looking for a really cool looking driver that will remind you of Ricky, and you're simply looking to have one in your secondary bag or looking to give it to someone who's only getting into the game, this one is a great option, and with that massive club head, you know that you can always find the ball at impact. Now that I've given you my first-hand feedback from all the drivers I've tested, it's time for your guys' favorite segment, and everybody's favorite segment. It's time to look at the data. We have a very tight race at the top when it comes to carry distance. We have 3 drivers vying for the top spot, and those same 3 drivers are also at the top of the ranking when it comes to total distance. Those 3 models are the DS Adapt, our latest driver, the King F9 from 2019, and the LTD from almost a decade ago. And as we mentioned, for the DS Adapt, the data that you're seeing on screen is the data that we put in after we made the adjustment with the Future Fit 33 hosel. Honestly, the first data that we got wasn't too bad, but it just wasn't as good or as representative of what this club can offer you. Back to the numbers, right at the top is the DS Adapt, and I expected it to be at the top of the charts in the distance department. On the other hand, I would have liked to see it really create some separation with the older models. In my opinion, this shows that a lot of driver technology is reaching the peak or the end of where we can stretch the technology to, and even older models were close to that limit already. But in my opinion, this goes to show that driver models might have reached the end or the extent of what technology can do in terms of distance. And my theory has even more legs when you consider that a model that's almost a decade old, like the LTD, is able to match the performance of brand new models. The LTD's performance is even more impressive when you take into account the fact that it had the slowest swing speed and the second slowest ball speed. Despite all of this, it produced some incredible data. But still, the biggest surprise is without a doubt the King F9. I mentioned that it felt like a bomber to me, and the numbers suggest the same, but I did say that there's a caveat when it comes to feel and forgiveness, and this is really important when you're talking about a driver. And the biggest disappointment has to be by far the LTDx LS. It trails the BioCell, which is from 2014, by almost 5 yards in carry distance. Yes, the roll of the golf ball helped lessen the gap when it came to total distance, but regardless, this is very disappointing from a model that is so recent like the LTDx LS. Now that we have data covered, it's time to look at the other crucial factor when you're shopping for a driver. It's time to look at the dispersion zone. So let's start with our DS Adapt driver. Its dispersion is pretty good, to be honest. There's a few outliers here and there, but overall, it's very nice. I do have to say that before making the adjustment, like I mentioned earlier with the Future Fit 33, a lot of my strikes were clustered on the left-hand side. It was a bit of a draw bias. With the switch I made, I was able to work the ball both ways and able to really keep it straighter. Except for those 2 outliers on the right-hand side, I think we can all agree that the DS Adapt was very straight and very consistent, which is what you're expecting out of your driver. Moving on to our disappointing LTDx, one quick look at the dispersion chart will tell you all you need to know. But there was a clear draw bias. that definitely impacted the overall distance data from this model. So while there's a lot of sore spots with this club in my opinion, the one thing I'll say where it really shines is in terms of consistency. Yes, a lot of those balls were on the left-hand side, but they were really kind of clustered together and pretty consistent. So yes, you're gonna have a trajectory that maybe you're not desiring. If you're looking for a draw, perfect, go ahead, that's a club for you. But if you're not looking for a draw, just beware. The consistency might not be there all the time, and especially if you're looking for something a little straighter or like a fade. Now it's time to look at our bomber, the F9, and I did warn you about that one. It's wild. I know, it's absolutely wild, this dispersion chart. We got balls up to the right, down to the left, down to the right, up to the right. We got them everywhere. Yes, the F9, when you hit it good, it goes on for miles. There's this one point high up there that's really far apart from the other ones. Massive bomber. But if you're off center, as I said, if you hit the outer rim, there's a lot of penalty to your strikes. It'll go offline. You won't necessarily lose much distance, but what you'll lose is a lot of accuracy. And yes, some of the strikes were much shorter. There's no denying it. Some of the strikes were, yes, offline, but some were just way shorter. And that is also the other side of hitting that outer rim. You'll be less accurate and you'll get less distance. So the F9 is a really double-edged sword. You're a skill player looking to maximize your output. The F9 is a great option that will get you the distance you're looking for. You're a little higher handicap player, you're not as consistent with your strike. I'm a mid-handicapper myself, and this one didn't feel perfect for me just because I'm not necessarily as consistent with the center of the club face, or at least not with that one. Then I would probably look at another model that is slightly more forgiving. Just something to keep at the top of mind just because this dispersion zone just doesn't make sense for an actual gamer. And if you want the too long didn't read version of what I just said, the F9 is very long, but it's also often wrong. Moving on to our second to last model, it was probably the surprise of this test. It was the LTD. Honestly, it's one of the better dispersion zones that we've seen so far today. Yes, there's this one sort of exception down on the right-hand side, but aside from that, it's pretty damn straight and accurate from strike to strike. Pretty consistent too, which I appreciate a lot. But do keep in mind that a draw could sneak in there or like a hook, so just be aware of that. But from my test, they're really not that common, so you can get away with taking this club in your bag and using it as your gamer. And last but not least, we have our BioCell driver. It's the oldest model we have in our test. While it may not have been able to keep up in terms of distance with the latest model, and again, the gap is not that egregious, it's really consistent in terms of dispersion. Yes, there's those two outliers to the right, but aside from that, it's pretty good. Honestly, if you're on a tight budget, as I said, or if you're looking to help someone get into the game, or if you're just looking to have a secondary bag with clubs that are reliable, it's a very good option at a very decent price. Oh, and the best part about this club is that you'll be looking like primary key when you're out on the course. Who doesn't want that? With data covered and the dispersion looked at, we only have one more thing left to do, and it's to look at the takeaways we can make from this test. First off, I think we can all agree that the DS Adapt is a very decent club, but that it doesn't raise the bar quite enough to justify the price that you have to pay over certain older models. But the Future Fit 33 is a massive perk, I can't deny that. And if you're really wanting to have a club that you're able to minutely customize to your needs, this is a great option for you. Second, this test, once again, proves that older models will match the performance of brand new ones, and they won't nearly hurt as much when it comes to your wallet or your budget. And last but not least, this test allowed us to appreciate the fact that you really need to test golf clubs before you actually buy them. And what we suggest when it comes to us in Golf Avenue, we know you have to shop online with us, what you should do is go test those new clubs in store, bring your gamer with you. If it's 10, 5, 15 years old, bring it with you, compare both on the screen, and then you'll have a better idea of which one is better for you. And if you're actually ready to upgrade and you want to get that new club in your bag, we'll come back and see Golf Avenue. We'll allow you to set up your trade and your purchase all in one transaction. And the best part is, we'll give you extra value for your club if you use the credit option. So what are you waiting for? This is the perfect season to try out new clubs and set up your upgrade. And before we let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't take the time to thank you guys for watching our content. We really appreciate it. We really enjoy making those videos for you, and so the best way to let us know that you're enjoying them is to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of it. And of course, if you got any ideas for future content, maybe comparison tests or maybe buying guides, whatever it is, don't be shy, drop it down in the comments and we'll make sure to read it. So one more time, thank you for watching this video. For Golf Avenue, I've been Lou. Until next time, see ya.